What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the floor from E3 2019. It's day number 2. My name is Jump, and I have the pleasure of being joined here by Tim Schafer, president of Double Fine. Sir, you had quite the spectacle on Sunday at the Xbox presser.
Oh, that. Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
How are you feeling now? Xbox Game Studios, you had a great announcement.
Yeah, great. I mean, thanks for having me,
of course.
all. That was really fun. It's really nerve-wracking. A lot of people watched that thing.
A lot of people watched it.
And I just didn't. I thought I was going to overshoot my mark and go into the audience, and it would be, but we survived, and we announced, and we're super happy about that because we worked with Microsoft for many, many years, and now being part of that means I can spend more time thinking about creative stuff instead of business stuff, which is a big relief.
Yeah, that was going to be my first question is, what does this mean now for Double Fine and the possibilities now that you are a part of that Xbox Game Studios family?
Yeah, we can, instead of coming down to E3 to pitch one publisher after another for games, we just take all that time and we can put it into doing fun interviews here on Facebook Gaming. And also creative stuff, coming up with new games, thinking about new characters, new worlds, which is the part of the job that I really love anyway. And, you know, making games like Psychonauts.
Yeah, and that's the great a great segue into our conversation for this interview. Psychonauts 2, everybody knows all about Psychonauts 1, you know, of course, the fan favorite in a lot of ways. Talk to me about Psychonauts 2 and how this franchise is now going to be evolving.
Yeah, I mean, the first game was 15 years ago or so, like a long time ago. So some people, I don't know who was alive back then, but it's much like the first game. It's an action-adventure platformer about a character who's named Raz. He's an 11-year-old who's a powerful psychic, but also an acrobat. So his moveset is very physical, very tumbling and gymnastic, but also he can burn things with his mind. He can do telekinesis. And in the first game, you use these powers to jump into people's minds, if that makes sense. He can astrally project his consciousness into someone else's mind and see what the inside of their brain looks like in terms of, like if they have mental demons, you'll see the mental demons, you'll fight the mental demons, and you'll help them wrestle with their own nightmares. And that's a main structure for the game. Going into people's minds, those are the levels set inside of a hub world where you also have side quests and collectibles.
What do you feel like is the big narrative that you're trying to push with this? There's a lot of complexities, of course, with Psychonauts, specifically, of course, keeping to the train, the thought train of Psychonauts 2. What is that narrative that you feel Double Fine is trying to push?
Well, the first game was about Raz's desire to become a Psychonaut. A Psychonaut is someone who's part of this international organization they do espionage using their psychic powers, right? So very powerful super spies. Raz wanted to become one, so he joins them in the first game. And the second game, he goes finally to their headquarters and finds out after someone had kidnapped the head of the Psychonauts, someone is trying to bring an ancient villain back to life. There's a spy, a mole in the organization. So he actually finds out this fabled organization needs his help to survive.
Now, where did the inspiration of a game like this come? Creativity and creativity muses is a question that I love talking to when we have these developer interviews. What was sort of the thought process behind creating this Psychonauts universe?
Well, in some ways, dreams themselves. Like when you dream, every person who's not. They're not a professional poet or an artist, but in your dreams you make these incredible images. You turn your anxiety into monsters, and you do all these transformations that are very visual. And I think it just seemed like something that would make a great game. You know, because that's what you're going into. You're going to someone's dream world, and their anxiety is something that you can punch in the face. You know.
It's always good when you can punch anxiety in the face. Now, game mechanics, I know that there's a lot of complexities. I love using this word with Psychonauts. What are some of the basic game mechanics that you feel new players to Psychonauts are going to want to know when they do get a hold of this game?
Well, you're both going to be having a basic, really physical move set for interacting with the platform elements of the game. But then you also have a set of psychic powers. And in this demo here that we're showing at E3, there's a lot of the first level of the game, you get to see some of the powers you had in the first game, like telekinesis, pyrokinesis, fire starting, and also a side blast that you can shoot out of his head. Those are the ones that are coming back from the first game, and then we're also going to be later showing brand new psychic powers you get in this game. But the old powers have been enhanced to work really well with combat. You'll see in this demo, you'll be pulling a weapon off of one character, throwing it at a second character while you're burning the first character and blasting another. So you can pick and choose from these different psychic weapons, as well as melee combat while you're engaging combat.
With Psychonauts 1, of course, coming out ages ago, there is always the joke, the running joke across social media saying, you know, when's 2 coming out? When's 2 coming out? And you guys have launched this. How was it like? How was the reception from those hardcore, you know, Psychonauts fans from back in the day when they got to see that a sequel was coming?
I mean, that was one of the most rewarding things because it had been years of just holding back this tension about will we do it. And we did a big crowdfunding campaign years ago for Broken Age, and some people were like, well, this is fun, this is nice, but we'd really like to see Psychonauts 2. So when we first announced that on Jeff's the Game Awards, you know, we did a trailer, and it was a surprise, and it was just so nice to hear. There's nothing like hearing human beings like cheer for a game, because when you make games, you're locked in an office, you send it out, someone plays it at their house. It's very separate. You don't really hear that whether you're making them happy or not.
Yeah, it's not like a basketball game where you practice and you show up and everybody's there.
Yeah. So the times where you can present something to actual people and hear their excitement is really rewarding.
I think that was one of the most entertaining things across the board at the Xbox briefing. I was in attendance on Sunday, and everything that you had, all of the announcements that Xbox was able to create really showed the passions of not just Xbox fans, but just gaming fans across the board, and how that passion really bleeds into that IRL experience, as we call it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what, you know, E3 is all about, like coming together and seeing not just the games, but the people behind the games, the people who play the games.
Now, before we came live for this interview, we had a couple minutes, and we're talking. Psychonauts 2 isn't the only thing that you guys are working on right now with Double Fine. Care to give us a little insight on some other projects that you're working on?
Yeah, we have a whole other team working on a game called Rad, which is Lee Petty's game, the creator of Headlander and Stacking, and that's a post-apocalyptic roguelike where every time you play it, it's different, and every time you play it, you get mutations that are different every time that make each run different.
All right, Psychonauts 2, everybody's excited about it, but when can we expect it to get it into our hands and actually get ourselves into the world of Raz?
Psychonauts 2 is 2020, and Rad is August 20th of this year.
All right, guys, you heard it. Any last word, any last thoughts from you, Double Fine, Psychonauts 2, or anything here about E3?
Well, thanks for having me. It's a great little booth you have here. It's an exciting. I haven't even seen the show yet. I've been just doing interviews and stuff, but I look forward to seeing all the great games here.
Well, I'll kick you out a couple minutes early so that way that you can do it, sir. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Don't forget to stay in tune with Double Fine and Psychonauts 2 on anything that you can have in the world of Raz. Don't go anywhere. E3 at Facebook Gaming. We'll be right back.